Hey, yo, Pro Wrestling Podcast listeners, welcome to the show where we don't sing it, we bring it. Help us out and click subscribe to show your support. Make sure you follow us on our Discord community and be sure and stop by www.tsj101sports.com where you can catch up on all your news and notes from all the sports, wrestling, as well as football, baseball, basketball, hockey, everything you could possibly want in the world of sports, all available at tsj101sports.com. Guys, are you sick and tired of dropping $60 to $100 for the latest and greatest wrestling video game? Stop immediately and go to Wrestler Unstoppable, available exclusively through Facebook. You get to create a wrestler, sign contracts, get involved in storylines, headline pay-per-views, even build a corporation from the ground up, all included in Wrestler Unstoppable, available now to all Facebook users totally free. If you want to become a member of the Pro Wrestling Podcast family and you want your name in the shoutouts like our buddy Mike in Lansdale, who's our #1 Patreon for the month, as always, then make sure you shoot over to our Patreon channel at patreon.com/ProWrestlingPodcast and sign up today. Don't forget our loyalty rewards program. Any $15 contributor, you get to co-host an episode with myself. If you're a $7.50 a month contributor, you get entered into a drawing to host an episode as well. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Pro Wrestling Podcast. We'll be taking questions and comments, touching on the day's news and rumors throughout the show. Feel free to give us some questions for a future episode in the Pro Wrestling Sound Off line, 267-642-1160. And if you have never been on the Pro Wrestling Podcast before, make sure you check out our homepage at frowrestling.com. That's FRO wrestling.com to preview topics coming to a future show. So today, going to jump right into it. I thought over the weekend, Payback, decent pay-per-view, I suppose, since we only had a week to build it up in any measurable way. And I did have some happiness, some frustration, and some things just left me scratching my head. For example, Bobby Lashley winning the United States Championship from Apollo Crews. I have no problem with Bobby Lashley going over Apollo Crews. The problem I have is Bobby Lashley is a main event level player. Apollo Crews, at least right now, is a mid-level player. The two didn't belong in the ring together in any way, shape, or form. Putting this match together was, in my opinion, an irresponsible way of squashing Apollo Crews, who had just spent the last several months building up a lot of momentum. There's no reason that after having feuds with people like Shelton Benjamin and MVP, you suddenly put him against Bobby Lashley, who decimates him essentially in the match. And then what it did is it made the rest of the Hurt Business look weak. It makes it look like nobody can beat Apollo Crews except for Lashley. And let's be honest, Lashley is a guy who is viable or believable that he could go with people like braun-strowman, people like the-fiend, people like Brock Lesnar, people like Seth Rollins. So let's get him out of the mid-card and put him with people that he deserves to be in the ring with. You don't have to love his in-ring work, but I'll be honest with you. He has done a pretty nice job since coming back to WWE of really creating a great style for himself. And I think giving him the United States Championship, though it may look good on paper, is just a slap in the face. Bobby Lashley is a world championship competitor and at some point deserves an opportunity to have a run with a world championship in WWE. I don't care if that's the WWE title or the Universal title, he deserves an opportunity to have one or the other. On the same vein, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler winning the Women's Tag Team Championship, I'm thrilled with. Let's be honest, they've completely botched Shayna Baszler since she came to the main roster. Are we surprised? No. WWE botches most of the people coming to the main roster. But Nia Jax has had nothing to do of any substance, even before her injury, that really mattered anyways. So putting the two together gave them an opportunity to go against what has arguably been one of the most entertaining and heelish duos in WWE for quite some time. I think that Banks and Bayley have done a great job with the championship, really made them a legitimate piece of the wrestling culture right now. Now, of course, it would be nice to see them defended a little more regularly, and it would really be nice to see WWE cultivate a better women's division. Let's face it, the new tag team champions had never even had a match before as a tag team, and suddenly they're number one contenders, and they win the championship. It kind of speaks volumes for how crappy the WWE Women's Tag Team division is. Even All Elite Wrestling, who has so many women that no one's heard of, was able to put together a better tournament than anything that we saw in the last several months from the women's division, with the exception of the champions. So I'm thrilled that somebody else has those belts. I think this is all leading to a Banks and Bayley feud where, Banks has lost her championship. Now they've lost the tag team championship. All that's left is for Banks to then go after Bayley so she could try to recuperate some of what she's lost. I think that's on the near horizon. But at the same time, I'm thrilled for Baszler, who needed something special on the roster, as well as Nia Jax. Now, the only thing for me that would make this even better is if this was down the line going to result in some kind of heel turn for Baszler, where she and the Horsewomen attack Nia Jax and take her out. Now, of course, the response to that would be the Horsewomen of WWE would have to come together in some way, shape, or form, and Vince seems so resistant to that. I think he feels like if he acknowledges the Horsewomen of mixed martial arts, that in some way he's giving credibility to his competition. He needs to get over that and make that match. People have been waiting a long time for it. Moving on, gotta get to it because it's driving me insane. Roman Reigns, the new WWE Universal Champion, and it's total garbage. Okay? I get why you're doing it. I understand the pairing with Paul Heyman. I get all of those things. But this comes off as Brock Light, okay? And the part of him coming out at the end of the match and not having any contract signed beforehand and all those things makes no sense whatsoever. I have a serious problem with that. I have a problem with the-Fiend for the second time now getting a major championship run in this year, only to have it taken from him in such a short period of time. Absolutely ridiculous. If you think about it, his WWE Championship, his previous Universal Championship, and this one, all complete garbage. And it's totally a knock on his character. It takes away from the credibility of his character. I think it's a horrible way to book his character. And what is this with pinning Braun-Strowman like, though, in this fashion? It makes Braun look weak. You've just had Braun as your Universal Champion for 6 months, and he did a very good job with the belt. Even as of late, evolving his character a bit to be a little more sadistic, you had something to work with. What do? Let's finally make Roman Reigns a heel. Well, quite frankly, I'm fine with him being a heel. I'm not fine with him being Universal Champion as a heel yet. Like, it's one thing to get him heat, but it's another thing to get him nuclear heat because you pushed him to the top of the card again. Stop. We all wanted to see Reigns back. I don't care if it's heel, babyface, or what, but we didn't need to see him with a championship around his waist. That, to me, is absolutely ridiculous. And the reality is the word coming out is that Vince McMahon wants Roman Reigns to hold the championship until at least WrestleMania. Now, the problem I have with that is that we've already had for years Roman Reigns has been crammed down our throat. We're the same fans who are going to complain about Brock Lesnar monopolizing a championship and then cheer Roman Reigns? Somehow Vince thinks this is going to get Roman Reigns over? Horrible booking, just my opinion. On a side note, Wade Barrett made his return to WWE Network last week on the NXT broadcast. He apparently did a great job in their opinion, that he has had a meeting with the WWE officials and that they are talking about a full-time return to the company as an announcer, not as an in-ring talent. Apparently, they were checking him out, seeing how he was going to work. They were interested in him way back when he started with the NWA in earlier part of the year. But at the same time, you had to make things work. And now with the pandemic and him already being signed on with Billy Corgan and everything else, things were kind of up in the air. But now it looks like he is trying to legitimately sign a long-term contract with WWE. And I think his broadcast style is something that would really benefit them, especially if he goes and works with WWE NXT UK, where I think they really need a powerful presence on the microphone. And I think this could only be a good thing for Wade Barrett. And the reality of Vince McMahon, a lot of people are always trashing Vince's decisions. I'm one of them. I think he's very much out of touch with a lot. However, apparently at Payback, Vince McMahon told Randy Orton to make sure that he made Keith Lee a star in their match at Payback. That's the understanding I have. And if that is true, maybe, just maybe, Vince is making one of those incredible decisions that he used to make all those years ago back in the 80s and 90s. Keith Lee is a legit main event level star. And if Vince is believing in him, and if he sticks with him, because we all know how quickly Vince can change his mind, if he sticks with this, he could be solidifying a star that he can have for the next 10 to 12 years that could really be a main eventer and draw some serious money for the company. And let's face it, that's what Vince is always concerned with. The fans love Keith Lee. Everybody loves Keith Lee in the professional wrestling world. It will be great to see him in a prominent role. That's all the time we have for this episode. Check back with us next episode where we'll run down the latest wrestling news and rumors. Special thanks, as always, goes out to bensound.com and purpleplanet.com for producing any music and sound effects we use in our shows. Today's podcast is sponsored in part by Beazle Games. Bringing a new friend to family game night is easy with sketchy people. Showcase your artistic side in this game from Beazle Games by going to frowrestling.com and clicking the icon in the middle of the screen to pick up your copy today. And to alleyrepair.com. Contact Alley Repair today for servicing all your classic skee-ball, pinball, or arcade game needs. If you're looking for your next career move, or you're considering college, university life, or maybe you just need some formal training for your next career decision, go to our sister website at frolifeplanning.com for all your higher education needs, as Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Mr. Fro, and I want to thank you for taking a few moments with us today. And if you're looking for more wrestling news and rumors, go to www.tsj101sports.com for their latest articles on the world of professional wrestling and all things sports. Until next time, take care, everybody, and have a great night.